Hi, everyone. Welcome into Primetime TV. It is a great day here in the neighborhood, even though it's a little bit cold. I'm one of your hosts today, Barbara Marville-Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us. To my left is Helenatrangata, a.k.a. as Tinkerbella. And to my right, we have Krisula Gause, who is back after, let's see, it was a couple of months you were on our Women Unscripted
right before
show.
December, right? Or in December?
Something like that. It was great. We had a full house here. And even though today isn't Women Unscripted, it is going to be kind of unscripted. Of course, Helena is one of our members of that group, and we always have fun, usually the end of the month, but we haven't done that for a while. Today's a special day. We gave my husband the day off, Dennis Kelly. I mean, we've been here live, and he just needed to just do his thing. So that's what he's doing, because today we're doing our theme as What's Your Story? And for any of you that have seen our shows in the past where we've actually had What's Your Story, it's been a great way to really reflect on what's going on in the neighborhood and what's going on with people who are really having a great time in their life, inspiring others, motivating others, and just really making their life worth something to them and those around them. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show today was to really make it extra special with the people that I have on the show, because they're very special to me. They're doing special things in the neighborhood with other people, with babies, with Helena rocking babies every Wednesday, is it now?
Just amazing.
And sometimes every other Monday or something like that. And we'll be touching on that here in just a minute. But I wanted to go back and just congratulate ourselves here for Primetime TV. We are approaching, I believe it's the 5-year mark. We're a little ways from it, but we're well over 100 episodes.
Wow,
do you guys believe
wonderful.
that? I know. It's really exciting. And the purpose here is to engage you with the people that come on the show and just have a really good sense, an overall sense of well-being. And in What's Your Story, of course, Helena, you've been doing publishing for a good little while, right?
Years.
Including your husband's books.
That's why I got started.
That's exactly why you got started. And Krisula, you have recently become, not that you haven't been doing this, but you've become a health wellness coach. Correct. And you're fulfilling stepping into your dream, as we all are. And it's just a great way to get the message out when we have this type of a platform, so that you can tune in and just hear what normal, everyday women are doing, and maybe we might strike a nerve in a positive way that might motivate or inspire you to live your dreams and fulfill your passions. And I think that's what we can all agree that we are all doing, right?
Absolutely.
So I've got the big mouth of the group, so I convey that through the voice.
Surprise, surprise. Keep going. That's why you're so good at that.
But anyway, so what I wanted to do is just kind of start with Helena and just talk about the whole publishing aspect and how you managed to step into that dream, which was kind of unexpected for you, right? First you became a life coach, and before that you were in sales, and it just evolved into fulfilling your passion, which is helping others fulfill their passions.
Well, I think it starts with the fact that I loved books. I mean, I grew up, I think I mentioned another time that I actually worked in the library as a volunteer at school, and on the bookmobile. Cher had a kick out of that one, because
I didn't remember that bookmobile.
The bookmobile, yeah. Well, I lived in the rural area, and so that was how you didn't go to the library came to you.
Yes.
Or to your school. And so I've loved books my whole life, and it's just given me the opportunity, like most readers know, to learn so many things about so many areas that you might never ever get to. You could read about any time in history, any place you want to, and it was stimulating for me. And places I've still not seen, I think I've been there because I read about them.
Right.
And I think it's so sad when people say to me, well, I don't read. I'm like, do you know what you're missing? I mean, my gosh, it's like saying I don't eat chocolate.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So that started me, and so when my husband, who wrote his first book and had it traditionally published, I was fine with that. I hadn't really the self-publishing thing was just starting. He wrote his second book, and I said, we need to self-publish this. You need to self-publish this, I said. And I was already a life coach at that time, and every life coach, I don't think that every life coach comes in like you did, where you know you want to do health and wellness. I wanted to be a life coach, but I didn't know my niche.
Right.
And I didn't, you know, I just waited for it to come to me, and guess what? This is the way it came to me. And I said, you're going to, I want you to self-publish. I sent him all these articles. Of course, I had to read them first. And I knew he was not going to take advantage of that. So in preparation for his second book, I self-published his first book, which had never been available for Kindle. And then I published every book since then, and he's on his 5th book now.
That's wonderful.
And as I was doing that, and I had actually started Facebook and social media just to share my life coaching skills. And so I started saying, you know, I'm doing my husband's book, not so much to share. Anyway, what happened was they were like, could you do mine?
Right.
Because this was when self-publishing was still really new. A lot of people didn't know what they were doing, and so I didn't have any magic, but I had the magic that I could see the big picture.
So just back up a little bit. You said you knew that Joe wasn't going to be having those, or even thinking of developing the skill sets in order to move forward to do that.
Right.
So would it be fair to say that there's a lot of people like yours truly? I wouldn't know the first thing in publishing a book, right?
Yes.
So,
well, it's certainly something, I mean, the self-publishing term is something that anybody can do. It's just an idea of, it's almost like anybody can build this wall.
Right.
Except I can't, because I don't want to get my nails broken or dirty.
Yeah.
of course not.
I don't know how to put it together well, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, anybody can self-publish,
right.
But I learned all the ins and outs.
Right.
Especially the more books I published, the more I learned the ins and outs. And so it was just a matter of whether you want to learn that skill set, as you implied. Many people just don't have the time. I mean, I might want to learn how to speak a foreign language, but I haven't done it.
Don't want to learn.
I don't know how to, I mean, my sentences and all that, I can't think. I'm like, I look at my writing and I look at what I wrote and I'm like, oh my goodness. Did I really write that?
Well, you've got the disadvantage that you have English as a second language.
Yeah, but there's, I mean.
So writing is a little bit even more challenging for someone with English as the second language than someone who's not. But you know, all those things can be fixed. There's tools in the market that can do that. You know, we're just kind of jumping ahead, but
no, you're fine. I'm glad that you guys are kind of, you know, back and forth with one another, because Krisula has an amazing book in her. She knows it. I think she pretty well knows it, and it'll come out. And I'm glad that you're saying that. Yeah, you could. Everybody has a story, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody has a story, or more than one story, and how to bring it out will come from you, and especially if you have someone that is experienced.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't pick anybody but you, just because I like our connection, right? And I mean, I can tell you, and I feel comfortable, and you know, giving you all my goods, bads, and uglies.
But you know, many times people are embarrassed to say, I wrote this, would you read it? They won't even ask me to read it, because the fact they're embarrassed by their grammar.
Right.
We know people, we have people in our class, we had a class, several classes that we've taught on writing and publishing, and people are embarrassed by their grammar or their spelling or their, you know, sentence structure. And so you're putting yourself out there when you write that, and then you say, would you read this?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a book or if it's a few paragraphs. And so the good thing is that I am not judging you. You know, I mean, I am aware of the issues, but I want to help you. I'm all about coaching you through the process of telling your story. So can we just go back 1 minute, though, because why are stories important?
That's right.
Why are stories important? We talked about this a little bit earlier today. Martin Luther King Day today.
Absolutely.
Martin Luther King Day. Talk about a storyteller. He told stories that moved millions.
Yes.
He told stories that still move millions.
That's right. The story continues.
And the quotes that I saw on Facebook today and on Instagram, you know, I want to take every one of them and put them in a book, so I can just like keep it in the bathroom, and anytime I want to be like a little bit motivated, I could read it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? He was a leader that led by example, and he's still leading.
Yes.
He is still leading to this day, because we still need that. We need his
We're talking about
philosophies, his heart today more than ever. More than ever. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
It's so true with every one of us. We're not all a Martin Luther King, but we all have people who follow us. We all have stories, and unlike in our time of when we were growing up, families would tell stories to each other, and then they would be perpetuated through the generations by grandpa told the story, now dad's telling the story, then mom's telling the story to the next generation. And what's happened is we've gotten all strung out all over the United States, all over the world really, is the kids aren't hearing grandpa's story because grandpa isn't there.
Right.
I mean, he either is physically not there or he's
somewhere in the world.
They're too busy. Many times the kids, you know, my gosh, would they have time to actually FaceTime with grandpa now? It's hard to get that a connection, right?
Yes.
And sometimes they just think grandpa doesn't have a brain in his head. You know, I mean, that's. I mean, I'm saying that as a Nona. I'm saying that. You know, the kids are so busy they don't have the time.
Yeah.
Where when you didn't have all those distractions that kids have now, you know, we had time to sit down and listen to grandma and grandpa back then.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, oh, they're on their own way. Yeah. And so. But eventually, don't you think that they'll want to hear the stories?
Absolutely.
And if we don't write them down...
They don't want our stuff.
Well,
they want the stories.
It's like we have a whole bunch of pictures, you know, between Robbie and I, and they're all in boxes. And I'm like, why are they in boxes? And I said, you know, from now on, if they're not out, if we don't put them out, I want them thrown away because what does it matter if they're in a box?
That is so true.
And once we take them out, what comes out?
Stories.
The stories.
The stories, yeah.
So now we're both communicating, and every time we will pick up a book, and it's so much fun because we're just telling each other about our lives, right, before we met, and our kids and the grandkids, and it's just, it's amazing. And yes, I'm so into the books and the writing.
And I saw some of your albums, and that happened when my dad passed. You know, the family's all together. We're going through the boxes of pictures, exactly like you said. We don't even know who some of these people are. Is that dad's aunt, or is that dad's sister, or, you know, we didn't, because his family wasn't close to us physically, you know. They were in a different state than we lived in. So we got out the pen and started writing these things so we would know who these were. And then my sister digitized almost all these pictures.
Oh, wow.
And it also taught us a lesson to, you know, jot down on the back of it or on a sticky or something who they are now while you still know who they are, because as we were at the end of it, we didn't know who all these people were. You know, is that grandma's brother, or, you know, we just didn't know. And it all started, a lot of stories. That's one of the best things that happened in that time period, was the fact that we sat on the floor going through these pictures saying, I remember him, and then you tell a story about, you know, when your uncle, you know, took you fishing or whatever. Right. And then, you know, somebody else would say, well, you know, I had an uncle who owned a fish shop, so he would go get fish and bring them to the fish shop. That's how I learned about all these fish, because I got to see them in his fish shop.
That's a story
and so, you know, that wasn't anything we had ever been into where I lived. I never went to a fish shop where I lived. But when I went to see my uncle, it was right in front of his house. It was down by the highway, and his house was back there. So this is in the country of Tennessee, you know what I'm saying?
And it also brings back our youth, right?
Yes.
And the laughter, which is so important. And, you know, and it's just, oh my goodness, you can almost sit back when you look at your picture and you're like, and just breathe it all in again. And that's so good for us, because it just kind of takes those cobwebs.
You know, you're right about that. And to that point, and I've shared this with you, my son Jason, I was cleaning out the picture, the boxes. I mean, I do have a lot of albums, but I was cleaning out this one box, and I put it off to the side. It was all ever so neat and tidy. And every time my son Jason comes by, he'd go into that box. And I watched him, I observed him every time. This happened numerous times, and I finally asked him, I said, Jason, why do you go through that box? He says, I had such a fantastic childhood. I was so happy.
How beautiful.
Do you know what that means? To have a grown adult in their 40s say something like that. Because I just thought
it was so warm.
I go,
beautiful.
well, I was hoping, you almost hoped that they had a happy childhood, right?
Yeah, I got to call my son.
And so
my kids would say, we had shit. Maybe I need to send them some pictures.
But he would say that, and it just
so nice.
it did. It warmed my heart because you never know, because those are things you just don't. talk.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
say
yeah,
because you happy. You happy.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And so I just it was a sense of accomplishment, and now he still does that. He still does that.
That's so cute.
So we should start texting pictures.
But the part that he said after that was, man, what happens when you become an adult? I think he wanted to escape, like you're saying, you know,
Right.
breathe.
Go back and
he goes
feel
in
that
and
good.
Yeah.
takes that breath of fresh air as a kid. No worries. In fact, I did actually have a worry when I was a kid. I used to think, man, this is really a piece of cake. Who's going to take care of me when I get older?
how cute.
I thought about that at a young age.
Oh, that is so cute.
I know, it's crazy. Only I would think of that, right? So anyway, but you're right. The stories are very important, and I would just get up on my soapbox any day talking about my mom and her farm stories.
Yes.
And the kids remember that. And now, seeing that I'm a grandma, my one son calls me Grandma B because I'll do some little antics, you know, and they'll go, "You're just like your mom."
And that was
Just like your
that's what you
mom.
called her, Grandma BB.
Yeah, they called her Grandma BB.
So they called you that now?
No, they call me Mimi.
No, I know, but
the
you
dog.
said you're just like Grandma BB.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So that's kind of cute.
Yeah, it
That
is.
is
Like some of the
cute.
different antics and that. So they notice that when they're growing up. They just don't. They're observing, but they don't say anything. It comes out later.
Yeah. It's like, okay, when is it going to come out?
I know, I know. And so, getting back to your coaching, because then we're going to be, moving through and just back and forth. Your coaching for an author is not complicated, because I've attended your classes.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of creativity, which I will guarantee it will bring your passion out, it will bring a story out, it will bring your creativity out. In fact, something that I was shocked when you said, okay, we're going to do some writing prompts. So I did my writing prompts, and I'm going, okay, am I done? Let me turn it in. No, wait a minute, let me write all. No, should I turn it in? And I finally turned it in. And one was taking that galaxy ride somewhere. What was the other thing? I forget. Something about the dance. I don't know. But you were like, it was self-rewarding. It really was. Because
Oh, you did a great job. Everybody in the class did a great job, and that's why we don't believe that we are. It's hard if you have not written, even blogs or whatever. It's hard to say I'm a writer.
Yes.
Much less to say I'm an author. I remember very well the first day I said I'm a writer. And I had already been writing articles in newspapers, but I never called myself a writer. I called myself a reviewer.
I never called myself a writer.
A reporter. I never called myself a writer. I never would have said those words. And then I started creative writing and taking classes, and I said, I'm a writer. And it was like huge to say that. And then to say that you're an author, that's even like that step up. But nobody that I've ever, you have that rare, cocky person who says, yeah, this is my book and it's wonderful. I know that you're going to think it's wonderful, and then it's usually not. But you do have that rare cockiness in someone. But most times they don't think their writing is good enough. That's more the issue.
You actually brought that out when you did that writing prompt, and man, I just went to it like boom.
And so in the class when we do writing prompts, it has nothing to do with your book.
No.
We're just talking writing, because this is a writing 101 class that we did that in. And the idea is I give you 10 writing prompts. You can pick whichever one you want. But it may not be anything that you're really knowledgeable on. I mean, what is her knowledge of the galaxy, for example?
I made it up.
But she
magical carpet ride out into the galaxy.
That's beautiful.
But she just went into her creativity and a dream state, and she wrote.
That's beautiful.
And what she wrote was beautiful.
It was crazy.
And it was crazy, but it was very entertaining. And sometimes we just need someone to say, wow, that's pretty awesome,
Yes. Yeah.
Because we don't know. We don't know. I mean, last time we were judged on our writing, we were probably in 6th grade English or something.
Oh, yeah.
To that is, in most of my work, and I bullet point everything, because it's easy. It's one sentence. You have it all in there, and
then you expand from that.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, yeah.
The bullet points.
Yeah.
So for my leap to actually write a book is very scary for me. You know, and like I said, if I ever wrote one, it'd definitely be with you because I feel comfortable, right?
You know, when we first talked, you said that you were going to write a cookbook.
Yes.
And I said I would love to write it. I would love to help you with the cookbook.
Well, guess what? I'm getting more into the herbs, the natural herbs, and
there's your
all the
cookbook
weeds
too.
and everything. Yeah, and learning how to utilize what we have in our garden. Outside, well, as long as it's not pesticide. Okay. They'll run off.
30 degrees out there. Kills that lettuce right away.
And learning all of this about, you know, the bitins and whatever, all these weeds that we have that are so good for us and that we don't utilize. So, yes, I'd love to get back into that cookbook and just try different things out.
I'll bet you that your passion's going to come out very naturally with this, just like you're expressing it right now, don't you?
Oh yeah,
it's gonna you're gonna surprise yourself. I surprised myself. In fact, we should we're going to be doing a whole hour, actually featuring the writing capabilities with Helena, and the next time we may actually have some authors in their very beginning states, Krisula, maybe, or anyone else possibly, and actually take.
Well, I would like to go through that trip of how they started.
Exactly.
Like I was reading to them earlier. I have a new author. She just sent me her first chapter, and when I say the title was something about how not to mess up your firstborn or something like that.
That was a cute title.
And,
I would buy the book.
I would too.
And so she wrote it, and there was some nice. I mean, it was very rough, and I didn't get a permission to talk about it. But I'm hoping that we can get people like that who are, you know, at the very beginning, and then where they're going next. What's your next step?
Yes.
Because some people come to me, their book is all done. I've written it. Maybe they've written it in longhand in their journal. This is a journal. It's a great place to start with your book, to just write down ideas. Those things that come to us in the wee hours in the morning, that's a great time to jot those down. Or to use your, some people don't like to write longhand, or they want to put it on the computer. But the other thing that we found is the voice recorder is really good, because you can just say, in my book, do this, this, and this. And I just was doing some reorganization of some of my files the other day, and I found some really nice little tidbits of information that I had tucked away about, you know, branding or this or that. And it was like, oh, well, this is on this piece of scrap of paper here. Maybe I should put it in a place. So I made a creativity file for, you know, for that. But we can make that on our phone, or we can make it in a folder, which I did, because this happened to be on paper. But, you know, we have these aha moments, as you say, all the time, and yet many times it slips away because we don't either write it down, or then we forgot where we put it.
Yes. And when you do have those,
not saying that I'm old or anything.
No, you're right. Well, you know, I've gone color coordinated so I can find everything hot pink, and I can go right through the whole house and find out what I need. And it's pretty hysterical. But to those aha moment points, I have been known to write those on the back of a receipt that I may have stuffed in my fanny pack, or on the back of a checkbook. You know, things like that. So just make sure you at least have something, or if you're used to using this, like you say, put it on there. Make a file.
Well, you could take a picture of those receipts, you know, that type of thing. You can take a picture of the back of the receipt, so you can say, oh, you know, even if it's kind of hard to read, it might still tweak your memory.
So when you have helped publish many authors.
Oh, yeah.
And my question to you as a publisher is, how do you bring the very best out in a author that isn't really sure where they're going to go? Is it something like a personal story? Is it a difference they want to make as a life coach? The herbs. Yes. There you go. I still say Krisula needs to have a book with just her name on it, because she has this huge umbrella with all that she does. But where do you get started with that?
Well, you know, just questions. You know, that one-on-one. Whether sometimes if they're local, obviously I do it in person, but many times they're not local. I mean, I have authors in the UK and Europe. The thing is, it's always about starting out asking questions. And then we get a very good sense of what they're looking for, and then I give them a sense of what I can offer them. And the reason I bring that up is because I don't edit. but I can give you, I can share with you tools that will edit for you, because there's so many nice tools that do that. If you need a full-blown editor, then I have those resources in my back pocket. If you need a cover, I also can help you with that. I don't do those things, but I can point you in the right direction.
Okay.
And maybe that right direction is to make it yourself through using a inexpensive app.
Yes.
Or to a class. Mona, for example, who's done, we used her facility for training. She does the Canva class, and so that's a great way to make a book cover.
Okay.
And so, you know, there again, do you want to learn that skill, or do you want to pay somebody to do it? And then we even have, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with something called Fiverr, and Fiverr will create a book cover for a few dollars. Now, you know, there's a big difference. I mean, I work there again to work within the budget.
Yeah.
Because some people can afford a $500 cover, and I'm just pulling that number out of the air, and then somebody else might be much happier with a $25 cover. So, you know, what's your budget? You know, we try to work within your guidelines of that. And then the thing that always comes up is, how much money am I going to make on the book? And I tell them right off the bat, because I actually ask this question, why are you writing the book? Because if they ever say to me, and I have heard people say, well, I want to make some money, or I want to, maybe this is going to help my speaking engagements or whatever. But when they say money, I just say, well, you know, there's like thousands of books published every single day, and I can show you how to make this a winner book. We can work on it together. I can partner with you. I can help you make this book successful, if I really believe that. I wouldn't say that if I didn't, by the way. I don't always take on every project that I presented.
That was a question I was going to ask.
Yeah, because there's just, you know, there's times that you just don't feel comfortable working with someone. You said a while ago you would be comfortable working with me. But there are people that I'm not comfortable working with, or, you know, they have the right to not be comfortable with me. So the idea is then where, you know, what I'm responsible for, what they're responsible for, I put that in writing so that we're both on the same page, and then we get started, and we have, you know, some people are very black and white. I want, like this author that just sent me this, she wants to have this book to me by March 2nd, because she wants it to be in somebody's hand on April 4th.
Wow.
And because that's her mom's birthday, and because it's about,
I knew there was a why.
it's about raising children. She feels like a lot of that came from her mom, and she wants to do that as a birthday. I hope I'm not giving away anything on this show, Nancy. I doubt your mom's watching, but I won't even use Nancy's last name because of that. But, you know, so she's got a schedule. Some people, I've got one guy who's a race car driver. He's like gonna write a book sometime. I don't know when. But he's already signed up with me, and so eventually he's still a driver. Right. He's still racing. So he thought he was getting ready to retire, and then somebody presented him with a contract to drive a new car. Yes. And so he just keeps going, and so when he's closer to retirement, I guess he'll be ready to write his book.
So life happens.
Right.
It happens.
So my question is, so let's say I'm not really sure what I want to write. Yes, do I want to do recipes? Yeah, that would be fun, but I don't know if that would make a book, right, for the recipes that I have. So if I'm not sure, I give you tips on how to look at that. I call, you know, I say wee bits of information. So for example, with a recipe book, you know, you want to look at what cookbooks are already on the market, because if that cookbook for, you know, let's say meatloaf, you know, 100 meatloaf recipes, if that's already on the market, probably that's not going to be your best way to spend your time, unless your meatloaf recipe is so different and so much more awesome than that one. Or maybe it's, you know, maybe because of the fact that you're Greek, maybe Greek, no. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I said that, and then I'm thinking, yeah, but she lived in, no, okay. So it might want to be, you want to target that. You want to use that. They're Greek meatloaf recipes. So that would be, you know, so I'm helping you present that to an audience that would be more likely to buy your book.
Okay.
And then there's all kinds of things, just like with all the other social media and all, you've got to get the right tags and the right words, keywords to put in there, because that's what my expertise is so much better than most people, because they have a hard time writing the book. They don't have time to be thinking what a keyword is. So I pull your keywords out and I help you with that. I put you in the right category in Amazon. So you don't want your cookbook to fall into the makeup category, you know.
Yes.
But some people they just go, you know, they can go down there willy-nilly and just either forget to mark them, or they just don't care enough to mark them because they don't understand the process.
Right, right.
So,
and
just to finish her conversation, so then I tell you what my opinion is.
Yes.
It's not that I write your book for you, but I do say, you know, for example, you know, if there's 100 meatloaf cookbooks.
Why do it?
You know, is that really a good use of your time? Maybe you could find, you know, some spanakopita recipes or something like that would be a better use of, a better possibility of success in that writing.
I have a thing for both of you, an aha moment that just happened just here. We both have known Krisula for a while, and quite well recently as a result of some of the things that you have learned over time. And I'm just wondering if maybe her approach, because there's a deeper story about these herbs, a much deeper story, as you know, with you growing up and why you got into health and wellness, and that's going to be coming. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that. You see where I'm going with that? So it's not just about the recipes. What brought you to learning herbs? What brought you to all of it? There's a story there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am from the Amazon. I am third generation herbalist, actually. My mother, my grandmother, I'm used to lemongrass teas, you know, cilantro to sleep, and so the coaching, right, has actually pushed me along and made me realize that, you know what, I do want to learn the herbs. I want to be able to understand them better. I like Qigong Tai Chi because of Grandmaster Kelly. And I want to help my knowledge in the Chinese herbs and acupuncture and all of that. So it's all kind of a mesh of all health. But the herbs, it's just really taken me.
It's earth.
It has really taken me.
It is.
So much so that a friend of mine asked me yesterday, I went to a meet and greet, or not a meet and greet, just a party, a gathering. And she goes, would you come over and let me know what herbs I have in the backyard? I'm like, I'd love it, because I'm having my grandkids pick from the yard, the neighbor's yard, as long as they don't have chemicals. My husband, I take him to the parks and all that and have him eat all the, and they're like, this is just pick and eat, pick and eat, pick and eat. It's not going to hurt you. So I'm enjoying that, and maybe something with a twist with it being ingredients that you can just go outside and grab them, right? And know that they're good for you, you know. So
I just thought, this just came to me, grow, grab, and eat.
I love that. That is very good. Another aha moment.
I mean,
Grow, grab, and eat. I love it. That's
awesome.
Perfect.
Oh gosh, we got to sit there and
She's the juices are flowing.
Yes, I can see it all. I can see it all.
See how that happens?
I like that. We got to write that down.
Okay, you got it.
And
I'm going to put it right here.
That's very exciting, though. That, I mean, you know, I see your passion and just bubbling through you, you know, with this.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that and I do this too. You know, I've got What's Your Story, and it's a big umbrella. And so you have this grow, grab, and eat, and let's just say that, you know, you've got to put the Qigong in there and the walks and all that, we're going to talk about in a minute, but, you know, you've got this huge health and wellness coaching, which all this fits into so nicely, but it's nice, but it's because you're passionate about it, it's exciting.
Right.
And that's what I had said, you know, when you were like doing your business card and all, I was like, you need to have some type of dynamic word that's attached to that, and so hence the dynamic. But because you have that great energy and people feel it, and you know, we can see it in your face right here. I mean, I'm sure it's because we both love you, but you know, I think that even if someone was here who didn't know her, they would see it.
Well, you become
Folks,
a magnet.
do you see it on her face?
Absolutely. And you know what? When you exude that magnetism, people flock to you and they want to know, and they want to be like you, and they want to know what it is that you're doing. And that's why there's a deeper story. And I only know that because we know you and we know what you've been through.
Correct.
You've been a caregiver.
Yes.
And that's not easy.
Yes.
And you learned a lot
Over
from
and over and over.
Yes, not once.
I told my husband this is it.
Exactly. So now it's time for
We're gonna have fun. That's it.
Robbie.
But you
This is like
learned.
Robbie.
Do not get sick.
No. I got a tree out front that we can tie both of our husbands to. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, it's an inside
Do
joke.
you have room for a third?
You got the third. Wait, my neighbor's got a tree.
We need to find a big tree.
Oh my goodness.
Take it to my house and keep
We could grow right around that tree.
We'll take turns with the hose downs and the feedings. And
Oh, we could plant around the tree. We'll visit them while we're picking our. Oh my God, am I getting sick or
Oh
what?
my goodness, we are so bad.
goodness, that's hilarious.
Just to let our audience in on what that is all about is 5 years ago when my husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, I thought, I need to find some creative way with some tough love. And that's when I said, I'm not a caregiver, not going to be a caregiver. Here's the extent of my caregiving. You see that big oak tree out front? I'm going to tie you around that. I'll hose you down every few days, and you'll get 3 square meals a day, I promise.
Fantastic.
He's doing fantastic. So
You scared him to death.
he looked at that tree.
Scared him.
He actually thought he was going to be fertilizer for the herbs.
So that's the honest to God's truth. If you've tuned in when my husband's been here, we joke about that, right? So now it becomes a threat if he starts eating sugar,
Right.
or he's doing whatever. I go, you remember the tree story? And whoa, yes, I do. Anyway, but you gotta find
funny.
humor in this, and it's not humorous when you're caregiving for someone.
Yeah.
You didn't go to school to be a caregiver.
Correct.
But you had to learn what to do to be successful. And you did, and you added many years to your mother-in-law's life before
Thank
she
you.
passed.
Yeah.
And how old
Well,
was
that to you guys too. I mean, we did very grateful for you and your husband and what you have shared with us in the past, and that totally helped my mother-in-law. I mean, she was so far gone that it's scary to lose someone, right?
Right.
So one day, one of the doctors, a neurologist, comes in and checks her out, here, this, that, and then walks out and says, okay, she's done. I'm like, what? This is, no, I don't like losing, people. So I'm like, no. I says, remember what Master Kelly and Barbara told us about? I'm like, let's see what we can do for her. So we brought her back, and she stayed with us another 2 years.
And she was not
And
even...
it wasn't like she was, it was like her health got better, though. It wasn't that she just stayed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Right.
mean, we did things. We would go out.
She
we
woke
would
up,
go out
didn't
to
she?
lunch. We
Yeah.
would go out to dinner. We would go out for a ride. So it wasn't that she was hanging on. She was physically
things.
enjoying
Yes.
the time. It
and
was
coherent.
Yeah, it was quality of life.
There you go.
Right?
There
so
you go.
that's what we look for.
Yeah.
And she did great. And my mother-in-law passed at 96. So
Yeah.
it's not like, okay, she was 80 or 70 or 60, so she did good. She did
Absolutely.
good.
And I remember you going through that, and then as of late, with your dear sweet papa. I love your dad,
My
Mike.
daddy-o.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that in just a minute because I there's so much to share with each of you girls. We could be here for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. But the main purpose...
I was gonna say days.
Or days. Exactly. But the whole purpose is really to help you think about what your story is. If we've stirred up that emotional heartstring in you today.
Now I'm like, oh, I got a few.
I mean, this was very organic. This show is never staged. It's always pretty much unscripted.
Speaking of something unscripted, before we get off of the publishing part, I just have something I'd like to share with you, to award you.
Okay.
That I should have done before, but I failed to give it to you. This is a certificate of accomplishment.
For what?
For starting on the
goodness.
journey for your book.
Thank you.
So
awesome.
she
Look at
accomplished
that.
the What's Your Story class.
Yes, I did.
And so she has not gotten published yet.
No, but
Life has gotten in the way a little bit for all of us.
Thank you.
But I know she's working on it.
And my book, it's actually going to be a series. It's Life Empowered, Life Mastered, because my husband and I can guarantee you that we have learned how to master our life, and these two have been witnesses to it. The ups, the downs, the illness, the this, the that, the craziness.
The funness.
Oh, my goodness. And
Insaneness.
and insaneness, for sure. Do you ever have those moments? Well, guess what? It's in a book, I can promise you.
Yeah.
And the Life Empowered is simply an acronym for love, inspire, forgive, and enlighten. And those are all the 4 virtues that we really had to learn and experience and set an example for our family and generations to come, and that's what we're very passionate about. But it hasn't been a recent passion. I didn't have to think about it. I've known this for a long, long, long time. And like the average person that doesn't know where to get started with a book, you need another leader to lead the way, and that's what you're doing, and I love you for that. But I don't want to get out of my chair to come hug you because I'm liable to drop my mics, and so I don't want to do that.
If they can do it on national TV like yesterday, they can.
What happened yesterday?
Jimmy Buffett dropped the mic. You know, he did a mic drop on the
Like
football
that?
field. Yeah, he did that.
Oh dear.
How would John like that?
Ooh, that's
We
crazy.
had a few little mic problems today, and John was not happy
Well,
because
you know what? They're expensive, so it's one of those things. But you know what? What's Your Story is for everybody. Everybody has a story to tell, and if you feel that you have a story to tell that might help others, because I feel that everybody's story, because I can tell you my story, you're going to glean from it.
Yes.
You're going to resonate with even one small part or a big part of it. Same with you. Or I
didn't you do that? I mean, like, you know, and I didn't mention that, but you know, when I got divorced and I was a single mom of 2, I didn't know where to go. I mean, I didn't have divorced friends. My parents had never divorced. I didn't know where to go. So where did I go? I went to the bookstore.
See?
To the self-help section.
That's
and
exactly
I read,
what I did.
and I read, and I read every book.
Yeah.
And I would almost think, they're going to jump in my cart. The right book will jump in my cart, because I just knew that God was going to take care of me, but I needed to have some logical steps. And that's how I got through it.
See,
you
and
know, by
don't
the
you
grace
think-
of God and by those books. Because,
Exactly.
like I said, I didn't have divorced friends. I mean, this is a time that, you know, people didn't get divorced. This is still back in the ancient days, you know.
Oh, please. But don't you think that that story helped you with your publishing business, is what you went through, too?
True, but I want there to be books for the next generation that talk about what we went through.
Exactly.
So that we can hopefully shine a light on an issue that's important to them. And you don't know who your book is going to touch.
No, not
you
at
don't
all.
know. You don't know. Barbara Scott also has a line of children's books that are just going to be so special, that she's shared some of those with her grandson already. And you know, we just have to be the light and let it touch whoever it will.
And on that note, I had asked my daughter to read a book, and she lives far away. She ended up reading this book.
You told me.
And this is the 4 Agreements, right?
Yeah. She just, she said to me, I mean, a lot of beautiful things, but at the end of that, at the end of her sentence, she said, "Mom, if I die tomorrow, I'm going to die a very happy person. I've actually now know what it is to be happy."
Wow.
She's 31 years old.
That's young for figuring that out.
Yeah, well,
right?
it was 31 years of craziness. So for her to say that,
That's
I'm
a
just
gift.
very.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of everything. It's, I'm happy for her, and for her to know that she can pick up a book.
See, it comes right back to the books.
And read, right? And so that's such a, I mean, if it wasn't for that book, right?
And that book is not going to move everyone like it moved her or you. But what I'm saying is the fact that she did that.
Yes, absolutely.
And that she said that. I mean, that's probably something you're going to tell every one of your clients about, because any of them that have mess in their life and who doesn't, you know, you're going to share, this is what happened for my daughter.
Yes.
And here's the book. You know, you can choose it or not. And in this particular case, it's a very short book that we're talking about. It's not like, you know, Gone with the Wind or anything.
But it's the same.
But it's 4 simple things that made a difference in her life, and makes a difference. Obviously, he's a bestseller. Has made a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Yes. But your concept is so, I mean, we need it. Right? We need to read about what the other generation did or what they did. So, I mean, I'm all for the reading. I think it's amazing, and I'm grateful that my husband, oh my goodness,
he's a voracious reader.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, reading is knowledge, right? And didn't they used to always say that? Wasn't that a
that was one of those things on TV.
And you know what my husband says all the time is readers become leaders.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that, because it just helps you form that whoever you are.
You can think.
Exactly. You can. It just you will have aha moments when you read.
Yeah.
At least that's my take on it. My dear, how do people what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Probably phone is the best way. It's 727-457-9391. And my email is my name, Helenatrangata, @icloud.com. And John's been nice enough to put us on the screen for you. And thank you, John.
Perfect.
I would love to talk to you. I offer a 30-minute complimentary chat.
Perfect.
And then we can go from there.
Good. Good. So, that being said, think about what your story is, and if you don't think you have one, get a hold of Helena, because I'll tell you, you'll be glad that you did. We're getting ready to come to the last portion of our show, so I really wanted to hone in on Krisula, who has not only been a dear friend, but also one of my husband's certified instructors who graduated on to master trainer. She now is working on her grandmaster in Tai Chi and Qigong, and she is
in her free time
has also become a wellness coach, a dynamic wellness coach through
young lady.
Cher Kissler's coaching, her program, and she's one of our Women Unscripted, and she'll be here next week, and so will you, and so will you.
And I have to say something. She's amazing.
She's amazing.
Amazing to learn from. Oh my goodness! I'm so grateful for you guys, and just my life where it's been taking me. So thank you very much.
Well, you certainly walk your talk, and it's wonderful. I've observed you over the tough times that you've gone through with losing your dad, and you talk about somebody really learning how to master their life. This gal is there, and it was, I mean, in between, and Helena is has firsthand testimonial, as I do, for your caregiving for us.
Aww.
Yes, for us. And every single day, our triage, every single day, because both of us were having some issues with our legs.
We won't call them old people issues, though.
No, they're not. They're not. Well, if they've tuned in before, they've heard about your leg story, my knee story, now my healed wrist, broken wrist, through you and offering. Well, I heard you went down. I'm coming over right now, tomorrow, whatever, with the Beamer. And for me, I can't ever thank you enough for that random act of kindness and love with this unit that I don't even know if I'd be walking today. And of course, I had to share with my partner in crime here what was going on, and I go, just trust me this time, and I don't want to hear any lip go over
That's
there.
exactly what you said.
That's exactly what I said, and you did, right?
Yes.
So what happened to you then?
Well, I'm walking much better than I was, so thank you. You know, it's just, it's amazing how something like this can be. I think it's really more than just healing my leg. I think it just really heals your whole body. And then being with Krisula and you, of course, I was healing my soul. So
yes, because we are so wonderful, right? Give me a high five.
You know, it really is that matter of people who,
Give me your high five too.
who love each other and support each other and share things like herbs and share this tool called the Beamer. And you know, I share tools. They're not as fantastic as the Beamer, but you know, for the books and that type of thing. You know, we share our knowledge and our wisdom. And I think that's so important. And you're on a path of gaining more and more wisdom. I mean, she's younger than we are.
Well, we've spent many hours upon hours from when we started at our home, and then we moved over to your home, and day in, day out, sometimes twice a day. This gal opened her home up to not just the two of us, but a group of people. And not that we're making any claims to cure or heal anything, but for each one of us, it was a very, very interesting experience. And it all comes from your passion to help others and to give back. And you know, this whole life coaching, you were meant to be. And the one thing that I really learned, and I am gravitating towards more than ever, is the fact that there are no limits.
Absolutely.
And who?
Oh my goodness. My daddy-o.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he was big on that. He was, oh my goodness, way before his time. Always told us that, you know, you can do anything you want. There are no limits. And when he heard that, oh, you can't. What do you mean you can't? What is that word? You know, there's no limit. You know, and the way he would talk and just. Yeah, he's very inspiring. He, learned a lot from him. Learned a lot. I mean, I tell people.
So did we. And I want to thank you for that, because not only did you offer us this Beamer, which was very a tool that I was not familiar with, there again, and so that was a healing experience for me, but it was just this healing to be in your home and to see the love and feel the love of your dad and you and Robbie and the grandkids. I mean, that's just such a nice, for me, who doesn't have any young grandkids anymore, but even when I did, they didn't live here. So it's just such a loving environment, don't you think, that allowed us to have that healing.
Absolutely,
I think, too.
Absolutely. It really, and love is healing. You know, it just is
and I
healing.
miss you guys, because I'm like, okay, one person comes up, that's fine. Well, what about the two? Remember? And the five.
And your husband was so gracious too. Are we eating dinner today, Krisula?
I'm learning the crock pot.
There you go. So yeah, we're back doing our Beamer sessions with you, because you needed to have a break and all that. But that one thing about no limits, I learned so much from that, because we're kind of like told or judged or whatever people say, oh, you're doing too much, you're doing too much, you're doing too much.
50 years old. You know, what do you mean you want to start a new career? My mother-in-law got a doctorate in theology and in English, and she started college back up in her 40s.
See that?
I mean, it's like, so I don't, I mean, everybody needs to know
it's a limited belief system with which we as coaches have obviously learned, you know, that you can live a life without limits if you know how to really set that self-mastery with yourself, and you've done a phenomenal job.
I hang around ladies like you.
Well, you can't help. We just rub right off on you.
Absolutely. And, you know, the more I think about it, it is because of ladies like you guys and Cher and everybody, because, you know, it makes you feel good. It makes you realize that, wow, look, you know, we can do what can't you do, right?
That's a very good thing, right? It's a very good question.
I think the support of sisters, of the sisterhood. I think not that we're trying to rule you guys out or anything, but you know, it's just a different mindset. But I think that is so important, because you know, we grew up. I grew up have business in a world where it was just like, you know, step over that person, kill, you know, if you had to, kill them, you know, you got to get to the top, you know, always. And so to be in that sisterhood of people who want to support you and want to help you, and even if, you know, like the 4 people where she just mentioned, us and Cher, we're all coaches. We're all coaches, and we all want to see each other succeed.
Yes. Yeah.
And we all,
so
you know, we can, you know, we can critique her advertising, or we can, you know, say, well, maybe you could look at it this way. We do that out of kindness and out of love because we want her to succeed.
That's right.
You know, she's our little baby growing up. She's a baby coach. We've been coaching longer, but
yeah, well, she'll run circles all around all of us, I'll tell you that.
She'll be coaching when we're in the nursing home. But that's what you want to see. You want to see the next generation succeed, right?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and so
yeah. It's all a good thing, and you know, you are doing something that I want to talk about, so we don't run out of time because it's coming almost to the top of the hour. You're doing a thing called Walk to Wellness, and I happen to have the flyer here. I'm going to just go over this real quickly. It's for the whole month of January, and it's every Monday morning at 7:30 at Howard Park, Shelter Number 1,
Correct.
1700 Sunset Drive in Tarpon Springs. The cost is $10 per walk or $40 for 5 walks. Now, here's what I love about this. We were talking about bullet points earlier,
Yes.
and you did such an exquisite job here.
That's all I do.
How would you like to lower your risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, strengthen your bones and muscles, help you maintain a healthy weight, help lift your mood, and maybe longer life? And you go into the reasons of what you're doing on your walk that can help this. Hydration, the reasons why we need to be hydrated, your breathing through the diaphragm,
Correct.
eating smart, power pairs, your heart rate is individualized heart rate. So I just wanted to, you know, point that out.
Thank you.
We're coming down to, how much
she
time
has
did you say, John? 1 minute? 50 seconds. So
oh well, she has that scale that tells you how fat you are.
I know, right?
Don't like that one.
I think the only one is my son. Is like, okay, Mom. Like, you can put it right over there.
We only have 30 seconds remaining. I want to thank you for joining us. Hopefully you've had as much fun as we have. The whole purpose is to raise the awareness of people right here in our community, but we go globally. So if you want to get a hold of these girls or myself, feel free to do so. And we're going to be back, the 3 of us plus 1. The amazing Cher Kistler will be joining us, her amazing women, and all that and even more. We'll see you next week for Women Unscripted. Take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.
That's really nice.
Did John put up your contact information while she was talking about you?
I don't know.
Did you see it?
I wasn't looking, I'm sure.
So that was fun.
I think that was good. Did you guys see how it rolled? And
Yeah.